just about 14 past the hour of 1 o'clock, and welcome to Talk on the Block. It is Friday, and as we promised you, we're having the man Gordon Henderson join us as we discuss Ghana's music. Okay, we're trying to make contact there with Gordon Henderson as we try to sort through a couple of issues there. I'm not sure what's going on there, but we should have Gordon with us. And let me see, Gordon. Yes, Gordon, can you hear me? Okay. Yes, Gordon, are you able to hear me? Okay, we have to try something else. All right, so let's see. We're having just a little bit of issues yet connecting with Gordon. So let's just do this and we'll be right back.
D'avoir pris l'initiative représenter l'année de la femme. OK? Attention les amis, c'est la nouvelle forme, il faut pas être surpris. L'année de la femme, et qui travaille toute la journée, conduit camion, n'homme qu'à tout manger, et garder les bébés. Yo décidé pour faire l'armée, grimper potola, voler avion, cabine voler là, acheter 4 cinémas, payer restaurant, bonne chance pour 75, aussi 76.
It's 20 past the hour of 1 o'clock, and let me welcome you to Talk on the Block, making a bit of a late start to trying to get connected there with Gordon Henderson. Gordon, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure having you.
Yes, Gordon, it's great having you. Legend of Calypso, and a man who's done so much to put Dominica on the map as far as this genre of music is concerned. A man who is widely credited for the creation of Zouk music as we know it. And we know that's a music that is loved by millions and millions across the globe, across Africa, across the Caribbean, across the world. And the man Gordon from Dominica and his band are credited for a lot of that work. So Gordon, it's great to be talking to you this afternoon.
Well, it's always a pleasure chatting particularly about the music industry. Yeah, that's my passion.
Yes, Gordon, certainly. And, Gordon, I wanted to go back a little bit to some of your music of the early Exile One. I mean, there were Dominicans, I'm sure, who were listening and who may not know much about Exile One. You know, for those of us of the older generation, we know of the Exile One. A lot of Dominicans, in fact, they gained their foot by dancing to Exile One and Midnight Groovers and Bells Come One, all of those good Caras bands. But tell us a little bit about the part that you played and your band Exile One in shaping the music of Zouk as we know it today.
Okay, I will give a brief history of Calypso. First of all, Calypso was, I don't like the word invent. We started the movement. The word invent is a very pretentious word. I don't know if people can invent music. Anyway, we created the group Exile One in Guadeloupe. I used to be a singer, a soul singer, because before finding my musical path, I was like most Dominican artists. We copied what we heard on the radio. We copied Calypso from Trinidad. We copied ska and rock steady from Jamaica. We copied soul music. And what I loved was soul music. So I was a soul singer. And I happened to have a few hits as a soul singer, Caribbean soul, one of which is called Love, that could be found on YouTube. In Guadeloupe was a group called Les Vikings, and one of the players of Les Vikings is called Pierre-Edouard Destinis, who later, after Exile One, created the group Kassav that everybody knows. And the record producer asked me to do a long-playing album, an album with many songs, and I called my friend Fitzroy Williams. We used to play music together at the St. Mary's Academy, and he recruited some young musicians in Dominica, and we formed the group Exile One in Guadeloupe. Now, Exile One became very famous in a very short space of time in Guadeloupe, but our repertoire was one of calypso, funk, and as I explained, what we heard on the radio at the time. And a promoter, a dance promoter from Guadeloupe who lived in Paris, France, invited us to play. But when we went there, we played to Guadeloupeans and Martinicans who lived in France, but they had some nostalgia of their music back home. So they applauded and they were happy with what we played. However, they didn't dance. And they came to a dance. It was not a concert. So the promoter asked me to make the people dance. So what did we do? I suggested to the guys, just mix cadence rumba, which was the dominant dance music in the French West Indies at the time, with our calypso, and we did that in a very spontaneous way on stage, and the people danced, and calypso was born. So born of Dominican musicians, born of synthesis, a fusion of Caribbean music, and it happened in the diaspora.
Wow, Gordon, this is fascinating stuff. Two names you mentioned, Jacob Desvario and the brothers Decimus, who were famous for the group Casal having formed and who were in fact credited for having created the Zouk phenomena in the 1980s. And there was an article, and Dominicans need to be aware of that. A very important article was published by the National Geographic from the US, where they indicated that that the brothers, the men who are credited with creating Zouk, they're quoting them as saying that yet they themselves acknowledge that Zouk was merely a natural progression from the Canas Lipso of such bands as Exile One, led by singer Gordon Henderson, Gramax, and the Midnight Groovers, all from the tiny island of Dominica, whose late 60s Caribbean fusion set the stage for some of the region's most significant musical developments, such as Zouk, New Generation, Compa, and Soca in the decades that followed. That to me is, a very fascinating aspect of what was created there in Guadeloupe. And talking about fascination, Gordon, what was the fascination with the French islands that caused young men like you and Jeff Joe and the Gramax and all the others to kind of move towards Guadeloupe and begin that fusion of music that has so taken the world by storm?
Well, we have to take that in chronological order. For my sake, I want, because I'm one of a register and a curiosity. I left, and I will insist. I became 67 yesterday, so I have no fear about using the I when it's right. I left Dominica and moved to Guadeloupe after I had started studies in Puerto Rico, but the studies that I started in Puerto Rico were based on business administration. On one of my trips back to Dominica, I stopped in Guadeloupe and did my first recording with the group V King in a studio, and they invited me to become a professional singer with them. So I abandoned the first stage of my studies and embraced music because this is what I always wanted to do. Now, why Guadeloupe? Guadeloupe because there is a population that can afford musicians to live a decent life from music. Dominica did not have that kind of population. Secondly, there were recording studios. There was the infrastructure necessary to make records and that sort of thing, which is necessary for a music career. Thirdly, Guadeloupe is technically France. When you're in Guadeloupe, that opens you to Europe. So I was aware of these things that I moved there. So when I was given the opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to make a band, I invited my friends. Now, it was not a movement. There was no Gramax, no Night Groovers, no Bells Combo. It was Exile One, and it's not a matter of boasting Exile One, because people like to put everything like it was just an automatic thing. It was not an automatic thing. Exile One became famous. The promoters and the record producers wanted to get into the market because there was no Zouk. Musicians of Martinique and Guadeloupe didn't have a sound of a contemporary sound of their own. And people said, well, if Exile One comes from Dominica, let us get some more groups from Dominica. And there they invited groups like Gramax and tons, scores of them. There were hundreds of musicians who came in search. I think, for example, Anthony Gossi was not a musician at all. But the fact that he was Dominican and interested in music was good enough to motivate him to find his space. And then the movement began.
So, Gordon, you're talking about would bands like Naked Fate and all of these other bands. Can you give us some names of those bands? Certainly, I'm blank on all of them, but can you give us some names of the bands that came up after, in addition to Gramax?
Naked Fate,
Liquid Eyes, right? That's what I was searching for. Bells Combo.
Well, Bells Combo, in my mind, I may be wrong, remained in Dominica and visited.
Okay.
I'm talking about bands that really moved, emigrated from Dominica and located in Guadeloupe at the time. The Grand split up and became Kilo Men when this guy, Bill Thomas from Trinidad, worked with some of the members and made another band. There were many, Mammoth and Wax, and I don't remember the names too much because, first of all, I think I was a little bit older than most of the musicians of the time, and I was very much occupied. I mean, a lot of the young guys came in adventure, but I was already a guy with his woman and his motor car and his house. So we were not really colleagues in the close office sense of the word.
Colin, this is fascinating stuff. I'm going to play your song. It's a song I always had a question about. Well, two songs of Exile One that I've always had a question about. I'm going to play the first one, and I'm going to ask you a question about this one.
Okay.
Okay. It's tuned up. It should be coming across now. Are you able to hear it, Gordon? Can you hear it?
I can hear it. No, I can't hear it. But if you tell me the title, then
yes, okay.
I'll be okay.
One name, Rosita.
Rosita.
Rosita, yes. Who was Rosita?
Well, unfortunately, I will sound like a braggart again, but it's just a figment of the artist's imagination. That song, Rosita, was probably what we could call a calypso with a dosage of calypso and cadence as the real reference. First of all, we wanted to respect the definition of calypso being a synthesis of Caribbean music. So if you notice that this song begins with a salsa tendency.
All right.
It begins. And then it moves into what, I don't want to be too technical, but it's two chords which is not very calypso, but it is very compa or cadence rampa, which is the Haitian. And then you will also notice that the song has one stanza, one verse in Creole, and a second one in English, and all of this in an attempt to identify. And I should tell you that this attempt in identifying all Caribbean people with Cadence 6 worked very well. I posted on my Facebook page recently that the album with Rosita happened to go #1 in Jamaica, which is one of the biggest or the most difficult markets to penetrate in the world.
Interesting.
You can't come from the small island. And that record was manufactured and distributed, I put it on my Facebook page, on the Dynamic label, which was owned by Byron Lee in Jamaica.
Wow, and that was around 75, 76? What year was that?
It should be somewhere around 76, 77, because it was released in 76, and so it might take a few months to get across to Jamaica. But I use Jamaica as reference but it was manufactured and distributed in Barbados as well, among other countries. It was done in Japan, in Germany, in Colombia. All of this is on my Facebook page, and anybody who wants to visit me, I have all the records and everything. So this is why when I speak about register, it's not a matter of boasting, but I'm speaking in terms of industry. Exile One was the only band to have signed a record deal with a major record company. The second Creole band to do that was Kassab. So in our history of Creole music, only 2 bands have done that. So this is why I often speak about register. It is true, it is good to put everyone in the same league, but sometimes we play.
I certainly understand that. Gordon, let's take a little bit of that music for our listeners. There might be some people who might not have heard Rosita. I doubt it, but just in case.
Okay, good.
Don't go anywhere. You know, Gordon, I could listen to this one all day long. You know, one of your real. I'm assuming that was the biggest hit of the Exile One, was it? Gordon?
This is really a song for dancing. It's 40 years we've been playing this thing, and I see people dancing with the same love for the music. It's cool, it's pissed, and I dare say it's romantic.
Yes, it is, and that's one of the songs. It has melody. I mean, everything you want in a song is in that song, Rosita. God, there's another sound that of the Exile One that's called Trio pour tout le monde manger. What is the story behind the song?
Well, this song is a very serious song. It is a song that highlights the role that Dominica played during the period of World War II. That's between 39 and 45. Now, it became a hit in Dominica with Trio, but the title of the song in fact, is l'hivernage 39-45, which is talking about the period between 39 and 49. One will recall that Martinique and Guadeloupe were colonies of France at the time, and France had more or less, according to many historians, teamed up with Hitler, and they became collaborators of Hitler. So Martinique and Guadeloupe were more or less in bed with Mr. Hitler. But there were people, like in most political situations, no matter how powerful Hitler was, there were people who would resist. There were resistance in Martinique and Guadeloupe. And these people fled Martinique and Guadeloupe and came to Dominica. And Dominica was a British colony at the time and were in league with Winston Churchill. So we welcomed these people, many hundreds, from Martinique and Guadeloupe. And Dominica was a country that had a lot of livestock, a lot of heads of cattle, and a lot of pigs, and we were very agricultural at the time, according to most history books. We welcomed the people from Martinique and Guadeloupe to our homes. We fed them. So this is where the Choueyo came. Si on y cabri Choueyo, si on y mouton Choueyo, we killed all the animals that we had, and we resisted Hitler. And eventually America joined in with the Allied forces and won the war. And the people, some people stayed, because you have some French names of people from Martinique and Guadeloupe who stayed. I used to know a man who died maybe about 10 years ago, who stayed in Portsmouth from World War II. He never returned to Guadeloupe and made children in Dominica and so on. And some went back to their homes, and this is a song that celebrates the role that Dominica played in World War II.
Excellent. Gordon, I want you to hold on there for me for a little bit. I'm going to take a very quick break, and then we'll open up the lines for our listeners who want to call in and talk to you as well. But just hold on for me there as we come right back, okay?
Very well.
Of the group Exile One. Exile One is heading to the USA. The trio, Vivian, Fitzroy, and Gordon, will be joined by old pals, Sty, Frankie, and new faces on Saturday, September 24 at the Dominica Cultural Awards Gala in Montclair, New Jersey. Get your tickets today. Email at nexus1@gmail.com. That's ADNEXUS1@gmail.com. Exile One.
Tiles. Looking for best quality tiles at affordable prices in Dominica? Then you must check out Home Base Limited. New arrivals in stock now. 18 by 18, 17 by 17, 20.5 by 20.5, 21 by 21, and 6.5 by 41. Check in store now. World-class tiles for Dominican homes. 94 Independence Street, Roseau. Warehouse, Kenfield Industrial Site. Call 440-0565 or 449-2214. Think Home Base Limited. Think quality. Think affordability.
Get prepared for the hurricane season. Store at least 3 days drinking water and food. Stock up on batteries for radios and flashlights. Clear your yard of all tall trees and potentially harmful debris. Fill all important prescriptions and keep important medications secure. Ensure that you fully charge your digital phone and have a fully functional car charger. A message from Digicel and the National Disaster Preparedness Office.
We're going back to school.
That's right. Starting Friday, August the 25th till Wednesday, August 31st. Shine Union Dominica has everything you need with a 20 to 30% discount on selected items for back to school. Things like sports shoes, socks, and school shoes, all black. Assorted juice bottles, snack bags, and carrot school bags. Also, school stationery and exercise books. Shine Union back to school sale plus newer items. Also available are tents or camping, storage containers, folding tables, living room sofas. That's right, living room sofas. Shine Union back to school sale plus new arrivals. Starting Friday, August the 25th till Wednesday, August 31st. Hurry, because you already know when they're gone, they are gone.
Dragon Windows, hurricane safety tips. Protect and connect. While many use plywood, the downside to plywood is that it must be put up at the last minute when a hurricane is approaching. Plywood also blocks light from coming into a home, so it will be very dark inside if power is lost. Storm shutters, roll-up shutters are permanently attached to a house, which makes them easier to deploy than plywood. All you have to do is roll the shutters into place by a simple click before a storm. Some shutters use perforation or translucent material to let in light. Dragon UPVC Windows recommends easy operating rolling shutters. Safeguard your property in this hurricane season. Tip brought to you compliments Dragon Windows at Fokole.
All right, it's just about 14 before the hour of 2 o'clock. This is the hot seat, and we're talking to Gordon Henderson, one of the pioneers of the Canas music. And Gordon, we have a caller on the line who wants to interact with us at this time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Thompson Fountain. Good afternoon, Mr. Henderson. It's always a pleasure to listen to you during the interviews. You know, this kind of music, Canas, is something that I grew up on, and to be honest with you, it's, you know, when you grow older, and you know, especially when you join religious circles and stuff like that, there are certain things that you need to let go. And to be honest with you, this is one of the things I can't seem to let go because it's so much part of my growing up. But the question I want to put to you, sir, is I listened to you and you said that Rosita is a figment of your imagination. So the question I'm asking is, you put a lot of emphasis and thought into your music, and by doing so, your music becomes legendary because it becomes historical. Even 40 years ago and today, it is historical. It has a story, and people still dance to it. Today, do you see our artists, whether it's in Canas or in Bunyo or in Calypso, do the same thing as you did many, many years ago, which caused your music to live on forever? That's my question to you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, caller. Gordon, you got the question?
I didn't get the question. Could you just
okay, I'll paraphrase for you. Basically,
I cannot hear.
Yes, he was jumping up from Rosita and saying that Rosita was big because you put so much effort and thought into it. And he was asking the question whether the Bouillon guys of today and the musicians, the current crop of musicians in Dominica, if you believe that they put the same kind of effort and emphasis on their music as you did that allowed Rosita to blow up the charts 40 years ago.
Well, I cannot talk for them because I don't spend very much time with the young guys in Dominica. I see them off and on. But what I can tell you is when we started Exile 1, we had it like a full-time job which means, well, we had some very favorable conditions. Because we were in another country, we all lived in one house. So this was the case of Exile 1. I know this was the case of Gramax. This was the case of Below Men. We were living in a foreign country, so we rented one house and we lived under one roof. That was number one. Number two, I can speak for Exile 1, and I think it was the same thing with Gramax as well. We went to rehearse every day from 9 to 5, like any other job. So we took our music very seriously. Number three, there was a great demand for the music. So we were employed practically 3-4 days a week sometimes, and practically every night during the summer nights, because vacation is a very important part of the French society. Another point is that the music spread it throughout the Creole world, and the Creole world, the Creole market is a very large market. A lot of people think that because it's Creole, it seems to be a sub type of market, and they kind of ignore it and neglect it. But we visited and played on several occasions in Haiti. Haiti, that's over 10 million people. We went to French Guiana at the time. So when you play in French Guiana, the other Guianas, Suriname was not yet independent, and British Guiana. So you have the Guianas, so you have South America. We toured the islands, U.S. Virgin Islands. We went to Africa. We went to the Cape Verde Islands. We went to the Indian Ocean, that's Mauritius. And there is the Creole diaspora in Europe. So we had such opportunities that I am not sure, because the focus, I think, of Douillon seems to be exporting and targeting mainly Dominicans who live abroad. We didn't do that. So I don't know. That's a study for some of our young ethnomusicologists too.
Excellent, Gordon. That's a great answer. Let's take a few more calls. We're quickly running out of time. Good afternoon, caller.
Good day. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, I want to say hello to Baines. I hope he knows the code Baines. For Gordon, that's how I used to call him, Baines. Let me ask him.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I heard he mention a few musicians, but he didn't mention any of his horn men. I only heard he mention Frankie, but what about Kremlin, Fingal, Pierre Labau, and those greats? Would they be joining him too?
Okay, excellent. Let's get that to him. Gordon, the question is whether your other hornmen will be joining you. Some of the great hornmen you had play for you during that time, whether they'll be joining on that tour.
The horn players?
Yes. Because you only mentioned one horn man, whether the other great guys like Fingal and so on will be joining.
At the time we had three. Yeah, I was saying at the time we had three horn players. Maybe the most famous was Pierre Labau, an excellent saxophonist, sax player from Guadeloupe. We had Kremlin Fingal, who was a trumpet player from Dominica, whom we stole from the Swinging Stars. And we had on trombone, Frank Winfield. But as time evolved, you know that we use professional horn players as time evolved, because we were not formally trained in music, and we we had to evolve at some point.
Yeah, this is very intriguing, Gordon, that you accomplished so much without the formal kind of training that you would normally have, that you guys were still able to accomplish so much. Now, the tour of the United States that is coming up in September and October, how many cities will you be touring this time?
So far, we are booked for 4 cities. The first state is New Jersey, in a town called Montclair, and it will be followed by a gig in the same hall that Kassav is performing, I think, on Saturday coming in New Providence, in Massachusetts, down there. And there we will be in the heart. We are invited by the Cape Verdean community, but of course everybody, Haitians, Dominicans, everybody, they're all welcome. And then we are at the Washington, D.C. area and Florida for now. But we have invitations from Texas.
This is awesome. More telephone calls. Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Tom. Are you still on the line with Gordon?
Yes, he is.
I would like you to ask him a question for me. Do he own his catalog? And the reason why I say that, because the Beatles, they sold their catalog to Michael Jackson for $25 million. And this is all the conspiracy this year why individual wants to get rid of Michael Jackson. Because after he died, whoever owned it sold it for $300 million. So this individual knows the importance of owning one's catalog, which is their music rights. So I would like to ask him, do he own his music right? And it's very important for him to own it instead of someone else owning it. And this is why the musicians in Dominica got to take this thing seriously. Their creation and the creative music, they have to own it, because some individual are going to want to own it and know that in the future it's going to worth a lot. And knowing that Kadas is what, and Zouk and Compa is the offspring of Kadas. So they have to make sure. So could you ask him that question?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much, caller Gordon. Very, very quickly, so we can get at least one more call in. Do you own your catalog?
What's the question? Because I don't hear.
Yes, yes. The question is, he was asking is whether or not you own your catalog. Like, for example, he gave the example of the Beatles having sold theirs to Michael Jackson. Whether you own your music rights.
Okay, well, I'll answer that quickly. It might be a little bit technical. We have done better than Kassav. We think that the music, and when he says catalog, I don't know if he's talking about
the rights. Does the rights to the music?
Meaning the masters. No, because there are two things. The ownership of the masters, the thing that you use to manufacture CDs and so on. We are the owners, and we think that this is Dominican patrimony. We have done, because Kassav, they have signed with major companies, but I made it my duty to buy my masters, so Dominica owns that patrimony. The other catalog is the publishing catalog, which is the rights, what we call copyright. We own that as well. So we can safely say that we have done better than most. We are the owners of our musical patrimony.
That's excellent. Wow, God, we are quickly running out of time. Let me just say as well that you have been honored in North America for your contribution towards the Calypso and also to basically putting Dominica on the map over all those years. Yeah?
Before the end of the year, I'm supposed to receive 2 awards. One in New Jersey at the event when we were playing, and another one in Paris. Immediately after that, I feel honored. I think that I take it on behalf of all the Dominican musicians who have contributed in making Calypso a movement. I only hope that Dominica was a little bit more aware of what Calypso is doing in the rest of the world, because many people in Dominica still speak about Calypso in the past tense. I've heard them say that it is moribund or dead and it needs resurrection and stuff like that. But I've been working constantly for the last 40 years with a very filled calendar. And as a matter of fact, I'm supposed to perform tonight.
Wow.
In Martinique, and there is, so I don't know, there might be a Dominican view, but the people in the Creole world do not think that it is dead. They think that it's a very important cornerstone of Creole music.
Wow, Gordon, there's so much to discuss, so much to say, but let me just say congratulations. We are out of time. Thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon on Talk on the Block. I'm sure we'll have you back because we need to keep this alive, certainly keep this alive and keep the information going. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Doctor.
Appreciate it.
I insist on the doctor. I insist on the doctor. I know that you worked hard to get it.
Thank you so much. And we salute you for all your efforts for Dominica. Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of Talk on the Block for today. It's just about a minute before 2 o'clock. And let me just remind our listeners that I'll be back on your radio on Monday morning with a topic of national importance. I want you, if you've not heard of Bird Rock, I would like you to tune in on Monday morning. We're going to be taking on this issue in a way you've never heard before. So I would like to ask you to set aside your thoughts, listen to the program on Monday, and let's have a discussion about Bird Island. So thank you so much for listening. My name is Thompson Fonte. It was great having you this afternoon, Talk on the Block. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Take care. God bless you.
We're going to play something. Moi, travaille pour rien. J'espère que c'est un titre qui est sorti en 1976. Et il y a certaines personnes qui pensent que quand on fait la musique, on ne nous paye pas. Non, 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 non. C'est une métaphore qui symbolise l'esclavage. Ok, c'est clair, hein? Après presque 40 ans. Ok? C'est une métaphore aussi qui dit Martinique, Guadeloupe, Dominique, tout ça. De toute évidence, nous venons à sous même bataille. N'est-ce pas? Ok. Et pour symboliser tout ça, nous et aux mémoires des ancêtres, chaque jour de la semaine. You know the days of the week in French, huh? And the river cross, hard to cross. People like on and